She told me I'm going to steal your husband when I was 8 months pregnant. 2 years later, she's in prison for trying to kidnap my 9-year-old daughter. My name is Laura, I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of how my ex-husband's mistress almost destroyed my life and my daughter's lives. Before I start telling my story, tell me where you're watching this video from. Let's go. It all started 3 years ago at a corporate dinner for the company where my husband Daniel worked. I was 7 months pregnant with our third daughter, Isabella. I remember I wore a navy blue dress that barely closed over my huge belly, and my legs were so swollen I could barely wear closed shoes. Daniel was excited that night. He had just gotten an important promotion in the marketing department, and that dinner was to celebrate the quarter's successes. I didn't want to go, to be honest. I was exhausted with back pain, and all I wanted was to stay home with our other two daughters, Sophia, who was 6, and Manuela, who was 4. But Daniel insisted so much, said it was important for his career that I show up, that I ended up agreeing. That's where I met Bianca. She was 24 at the time, newly hired as a marketing assistant. Long blonde hair, impeccable makeup, wearing a tight red dress that showed a body that clearly had never gone through 3 pregnancies. When Daniel introduced her to me, I noticed a strange gleam in her eyes as she looked at me. "So you're the famous wife," she said, extending her hand with perfectly manicured nails. "Daniel talks about you so much." "I hope good things," I replied, smiling politely. "Of course." She smiled back, but there was something in that smile that made me uncomfortable. Then she looked at my huge belly and said, "Wow, third daughter? You're brave." "I can barely take care of myself, imagine 3 children. It's hard work, but it's wonderful," I replied, placing my hand on my belly. Bianca giggled. "Well, enjoy it while you can. After babies are born, we lose a bit of ourselves, right? The body changes, life changes. It must be hard to keep the flame alive in marriage with so many kids at home." I was speechless. Who the hell says that to a pregnant woman they just met? Daniel laughed, uncomfortable. "Bianca is very direct sometimes." "Direct is one word," I muttered. Later that night, while I was getting juice at the drinks table, Bianca appeared beside me again. She had a glass of wine in her hand, leaning on the counter a bit too casually. "Can I give you some advice?" she asked, not waiting for my answer. "Married women need to take care of themselves, especially when the husband is handsome and works with young single women all day." She winked at me. "You understand what I'm saying, right?" I felt my stomach turn. "Sorry, what are you insinuating?" "Nothing major." She shrugged. "I'm just saying that men are men. If you don't keep him interested at home, someone will keep him interested at the office. That's just the reality of the world, you know?" I looked at her with total disbelief. "Did you just tell me to my face that you're going to try to seduce my husband?" "Me?" She widened her eyes theatrically. "I didn't say that. I just said you should take better care of yourself. But if you interpreted it that way..." She giggled. "Maybe it's because you already know you have reasons to worry." That night, in the car going home, I told Daniel about the bizarre conversation. He laughed and said Bianca was young and immature, that I shouldn't take it seriously. "She has no filter, that's all. It's her way of joking." "That wasn't a joke, Daniel. It was a threat." "You're exaggerating because of hormones," he said, and I wanted to punch him. "Bianca is harmless. She's just a girl trying to impress coworkers by being provocative." I should have trusted my instinct that night. Should have seen the signs. But I was pregnant, tired, and naive enough to believe my husband would never be stupid enough to fall into the obvious trap that woman was setting. Isabella was born 2 months later, in an emergency C-section. They were difficult days of recovery, sleepless nights, 3 small children needing attention. Daniel started working later and later, always with excuses about important projects and meetings that couldn't be postponed. "Bianca is helping me a lot with the new campaign," he mentioned casually one night, while I was breastfeeding Isabella at 3 in the morning. "She's very dedicated, stays late with me at the office to finish things." Something cold went down my spine. "You two? Alone in the office until late. It's not just the 2 of us. There are other people too." He avoided my gaze. "Sometimes." "Daniel." "Laura, you're being paranoid." "I'm working." End of discussion. But I wasn't being paranoid. In the following months, Daniel became distant. Less patient with the girls. Less interested in me. He suddenly started going to the gym, buying new clothes, using different perfumes. The classic signs that every cheated woman recognizes, but that we try to ignore because admitting the truth is too painful. One night, in March, 6 months after Isabella's birth, I came home after a pediatric appointment and found Daniel sitting in the living room, with a suitcase beside him. "We need to talk," he said. My heart stopped. Isabella was in the stroller, sleeping. Sophia and Manuela were at my mother's house. It was just the two of us. You're having an affair with her? It wasn't a question. Daniel closed his eyes. Laura, how long? Does it matter? How long, Daniel? My voice came out louder than I intended. 4 months. 4 months. Since Isabella was 2 months old. Since I was still bleeding from the C-section, still recovering, still waking up every 2 hours to breastfeed. I want a divorce, he said. I'm in love with Bianca. I'm sorry, but I can't keep pretending I'm happy here. You have 3 daughters, Daniel. 3 babies who need you. I'll be present in their lives. But I can't continue in this marriage. It's not fair to me or to you. Fair. I laughed, a bitter and broken sound. You're talking about fairness after cheating on me while I was taking care of our newborn baby? I know the timing is terrible, but the timing. My voice was rising. The timing? Daniel, you're destroying our family for a 24-year-old girl who gave you attention at the office. It's not like that. Bianca understands me in a way you never did. She makes me feel alive again. That's when I heard a noise coming from the entrance. The front door opened and Bianca walked in with a key in her hand. A key to my house. You gave her a key to our house? I asked, incredulous. I asked her to come help me get my things, Daniel said, without even having the decency to look embarrassed. Bianca entered the living room as if she owned the place, wearing ripped jeans and a low-cut blouse. She looked around with an evaluating expression, as if calculating the value of each piece of furniture. Hi, Laura, she said with that same fake smile as always. Look, I know this is difficult for you, but I want you to know I have nothing against you personally. I stood paralyzed, holding Isabella's stroller. I think we can have a civilized relationship going forward, Bianca continued, approaching me. Because, like it or not, I'm going to be a constant presence in your daughters' lives. I'll be their stepmother. So it's better we understand each other now. You won't be anyone's stepmother, I managed to say. Oh, Laura. She gave that annoying giggle. You can fight all you want, but the truth is Daniel chose me. He wants me. And from now on, when the girls are with him, they'll be with me too. So yes, I'll be their stepmother, whether you like it or not. She leaned closer and whispered, loud enough for Daniel to hear, I warned you I was going to steal him from you. Remember? At that dinner? I told you and you laughed. But I wasn't kidding. I looked at Daniel, hoping he would say something, that he would defend our family, show some remorse. But he just looked away, grabbed his suitcase, and started going upstairs to get more things. The following months were a bureaucratic nightmare. Lawyers, division of assets, child custody. Daniel wanted 50-50 shared custody, and my lawyer said it was better I accept if I didn't want a long and expensive legal battle. But he's living with his mistress, I argued. With the woman who destroyed our marriage. My daughters will have to live with her. Unfortunately, unless you prove she's a danger to the children, there's not much you can do, my lawyer explained. The judge will prioritize the children's relationship with their father. In the end, I accepted the agreement. I kept the house, most of the assets, and generous child support. Daniel kept his new apartment, his young girlfriend, and the girls on alternating weeks. The first visits were horrible. Sophia cried every time she had to go. Manuela threw tantrums. Isabella, still too young to understand, just found the different environment strange. And Bianca? Bianca made a point of marking her territory. She started showing up for the girls' pickups and drop-offs, always glued to Daniel, always making a point of touching him in front of me. Love, don't forget we have dinner with my parents today, she'd say loud enough for me to hear. Or, honey, the girls said they loved the breakfast I made for them today. I stayed calm, smiled politely, took my daughters and left without giving her the satisfaction of seeing me irritated. But inside, I was furious. One day, about 8 months after the separation, Bianca showed up alone for pickup. Daniel had to travel for work, she explained, so she would be responsible for the girls on his weekend. Just the 3 of us, she said, winking. It'll be great for me to create a stronger bond with them. No, I said simply. What do you mean, no? You're not authorized to be alone with my daughters. If Daniel can't take care of them, they stay with me. But I live with Daniel. I'm practically their stepmother. You're his girlfriend. You have no legal rights over my daughters. And if you try to pick them up from school or anywhere without Daniel present, I'll call the police. Her face turned red. You're being ridiculous. Daniel will hear about this. Great. Tell him I said if he wants shared custody, he needs to be present. He can't outsource the father role to his girlfriend. She huffed and left. Daniel called me later, irritated, but I held my position. The custody agreement said the children stayed with him, Not with anyone else. It was around this time that things started getting really strange. Sophia, who was 7 at the time, started having nightmares. She'd wake up in the middle of the night crying, saying she dreamed I had gone away and left her alone. Manuela, at 5, started wetting the bed again, something she hadn't done since she was 3. I took them both to the pediatrician, who recommended a child psychologist. Dr. Beatriz was a gentle woman in her 50s, specialized in children of divorced parents. After a few individual sessions with each girl, she called me for a private conversation. "Laura, your daughters are suffering from severe anxiety related to fear of abandonment," she told me. "Something is feeding these fears. Do you have any idea what it could be? Besides the divorce and having to split time between 2 houses? It's more specific than that." Sophia told me some things that worried me. She says that the other mother keeps saying you don't love them as much as their father does. My blood ran cold. The other mother? That's how she referred to Bianca. Apparently, Bianca has been telling the girls that you complain about them, that you'd rather not have had children, that you're just pretending to like them. That's a lie. I never said anything like that. I know. Dr. Beatriz placed her hand on mine. But your daughters don't know. They're too young to understand that an adult can deliberately lie. So they're believing it. I left that office shaking with rage. I called Daniel immediately. "Your girlfriend is telling our daughters I don't love them," I fired as soon as he answered. "What? Laura, what are you talking about?" The girl's psychologist told me. "Bianca is planting ideas in their heads, making them think I reject them. That's why Sophia is having nightmares and Manuela started wetting the bed again." "That's absurd. Bianca would never do that. Your daughters are in psychological distress because of your girlfriend, Daniel. Are you going to do something about it or not?" There was a long silence. "I'll talk to her. You need to do more than talk. She can't have contact with the girls anymore until this is resolved. You can't tell me who my daughters can or can't be around during my custody time." "Yes, I can if that person is causing psychological damage to them. I'm talking to my lawyer tomorrow." I hung up before he could respond. My lawyer, Dr. Roberto, advised me to document everything. Every therapy session, every nightmare, every bedwetting incident. "If you want to restrict Bianca's access to the children, you'll need concrete proof she's causing harm," he explained. So that's what I did. I started a detailed diary. Every time the girls came back from their father's house showing concerning behaviors, I noted it. Every strange thing they said, I recorded. And the strange things multiplied. "Bia said you're going to get a new boyfriend and forget about us," Sophia told me one night during dinner. "Bia said Daddy wanted a boy instead of girls," Manuela commented a few days later. "Bia said she's going to be our real new mother and you'll just be the old mother," Isabella, who had started talking more, repeated one afternoon. Each comment was a stab. Each poisonous word Bianca planted in my daughters' heads was an attempt to replace me, to erase my existence in their lives. 3 months later, during a family therapy session the judge had ordered, Dr. Beatriz confronted Daniel directly. "Mr. Daniel, your daughters have repeatedly verbalized negative comments about their mother that, according to them, originated from Ms. Bianca. This constitutes parental alienation, which is a form of child psychological abuse." Daniel went pale. "I didn't know it was that serious." "It's extremely serious. Sophia is developing anxiety disorder. Manuela is regressing in developmental milestones. Isabella is starting to show signs of insecure attachment. All of this stems from comments made by your partner. Bianca is just trying to bond with them. Bonding doesn't involve denigrating the biological mother." Dr. Beatriz cut him off, her voice firm. "What she's doing is psychological manipulation of vulnerable children. And if this doesn't stop immediately, I'll recommend to the judge that shared custody be revised." Daniel left that session visibly shaken. He called me that night. "I'll talk seriously with Bianca," he promised. "I'll make it clear she needs to stop. She needs to do more than stop. She needs to apologize to the girls and undo the damage she caused. I'll take care of it." But he didn't take care of it. Or rather, he tried, but Bianca wasn't interested in changing her behavior. 2 weeks later, Sophia showed me her tablet. The school had given tablets to students to use in educational activities, and they had a messaging system, so parents could communicate with their children during the day. "Mommy, why is Bia sending me messages?" Sophia asked, with her big brown eyes full of confusion. I took the tablet from her hands and felt my stomach turn. There were dozens of messages. Dozens. "Your mother told your father you're too much work. Your mother gets angry when she has to take care of you. Your father loves you much more than your mother. When your mother yells at you, remember you can always live with us." Message after message, all sent over weeks, all carefully crafted to undermine my relationship with my own daughters. And the most recent sent that morning, your mother is planning to move far away and leave you behind. She doesn't want to be a mother anymore. My hands were shaking holding the tablet. Sophia was looking at me, waiting for an answer, and I could see the fear in her eyes. Love, that's not true, I managed to say, pulling her into a hug. None of that is true. I'll never leave you. Never. But Bia said. Bia lied. She's lying, baby. I don't know why she's doing this, but none of what she said is real. But while I hugged my daughter, all I could think about was one thing. This had to stop. Once and for all. And I would do whatever was necessary to protect my girls. The next morning, before the sun even rose, I was already awake. I spent all night capturing screenshots of every message Bianca had sent. I organized everything by date, by theme, by level of severity. I created a folder on my computer called Evidence Bianca and saved everything there. At 7 in the morning, I called Dr. Roberto. I need an emergency meeting. Today, if possible. He must have sensed the desperation in my voice, because he didn't question it. I can see you at 10. Bring everything you have. I took the girls to school and went straight to his office. When I put the tablet on Dr. Roberto's desk and showed him the messages, I saw his expression change from professional to genuinely shocked. My God, he murmured, scrolling through the messages. This is systematic harassment of a child. Documented parental alienation. Laura, this is gold for our case. I don't want gold for a case. My voice came out shaky. I want that woman away from my daughters. And she will be. With this here, we can request a temporary restraining order and ask the judge to review the custody agreement. I can argue the children aren't safe in her presence. How long will this take? I can file an emergency motion today. If we're lucky, we'll have a hearing next week. While Dr. Roberto started preparing the documents, I went to the school to talk to the principal, Mrs. Marcia. She received me immediately when I explained the seriousness of the situation. How did she get access to the messaging system? I asked, showing the screenshots on my phone. Mrs. Marcia called the technology coordinator, Mr. Paolo, a middle-aged man with round glasses who seemed genuinely disturbed seeing the messages. Let me check, he typed rapidly on his laptop. I see here. There's an account created in the name of Bianca Ferreira Silva, registered as co-guardian of student Sofia Mendez Carvalho. She's not co-guardian of anything, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. She's my ex-husband's girlfriend. She has no legal authorization over my daughters. Mr. Paolo turned red. Someone must have provided false information during registration. Normally, we ask for documentation, but can I see when this account was created? He checked. September of last year. 6 months ago. 6 months. She'd been doing this for 6 months, and I had no idea. I want that account blocked immediately, I demanded. And I want it to be impossible for anyone other than me or their father to create accounts linked to my daughters. I'll do it right now, Mr. Paolo assured. And I'll implement a more rigorous verification protocol. This should never have happened. Mrs. Marcia placed her hand on my shoulder. Laura, I'm so sorry. We'll make a formal report about this. You might need it for legal matters. I will need it, yes. Thank you. When I left the school, I called Daniel. He answered on the 3rd ring, sounding sleepy. Laura? It's 10 in the morning on a Wednesday, what? Your girlfriend has been sending messages to Sophia for 6 months. Messages saying I don't love my daughters, that I'm going to abandon them, that they should live with you. Psychologically abusive messages to a 7-year-old child. Silence on the other end. Daniel, are you sure? How? She created a fake account in the school system posing as co-guardian. I have screenshots of everything. My lawyer is already filing an emergency motion. But I'm calling you first because, despite everything, I still believe you love your daughters. So I'm giving you the chance to do the right thing. Which would be, break up with her. No. Today. She can never be near our daughters again. Laura, I can't just. Yes, you can. You're a father before you're a boyfriend. Or at least you should be. Let me talk to her first. Let me understand her side. Her side. My voice rose. Daniel, she's psychologically manipulating our children. What side could there be to that? I need to process this. Give me time. I hung up, frustrated. I knew he wasn't going to do anything. He was too blind to that woman to see what was right in front of him. That afternoon, when I went to pick up the girls from school, Bianca was there. She was leaning against Daniel's car, wearing a short floral dress and sunglasses, looking like a movie star waiting for fans. When she saw me, she waved cheerfully, as if we were friends. I ignored her completely and went straight to where Sophia and Manuela were waiting with the supervisor. Hi, girls. Bianca approached, crouching to their height. Your father asked me to pick you up today. Let's get ice cream. Sophia hid behind me. Manuela grabbed my hand tightly. The girls are coming with me, I said firmly. But it's Daniel's week. I don't care. You don't have authorization to pick up my daughters. And if you try to do this again, I'll call the police. Her eyes narrowed behind the sunglasses. You're being dramatic. Daniel said I could. Daniel isn't here. And even if he were, you have no legal rights over these children. You're nothing to them. Understood? Nothing. I'm their stepmother. You're the ex-husband's girlfriend. Don't confuse things. I took the girls by the hand and walked toward my car. Bianca followed me. You can't keep me from seeing the girls. I live with Daniel. When they're at his house, they're with me too. I stopped and turned to face her. Not for much longer. She blinked. What do you mean by that? You'll find out soon. I put the girls in the car and left before she could say anything else. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Bianca taking her phone from her pocket, probably to call Daniel. That night, while I was preparing dinner, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Daniel called 7 times. I ignored all of them. Finally, he sent a message. We need to talk. Bianca is devastated. She says you were rude to her in front of the girls and wouldn't let her take the children. I replied, she doesn't have permission to take the girls. If you want your custody time, you come get them. Not the girlfriend. You're being ridiculous. I trust her with the girls. I don't. And as their mother, my opinion matters. By the way, check your email. My lawyer sent some documents you'll want to read. I didn't respond anymore after that. Dr. Roberto had sent Daniel copies of all of Bianca's messages, along with a formal letter notifying him of our intention to seek a restraining order and custody review. Half an hour later, Daniel showed up at my door. His face was white, and he was holding printed papers in his hand, the messages. Can I come in? His voice was hoarse. I let him in, but we stayed in the hall. I wasn't going to invite him further. Is this real? He asked, holding the papers. All these messages. She really sent all of this. Yes. Why didn't you tell me before? I didn't even know they existed until yesterday. Sophia showed me her tablet. I went to check and found months of messages I hadn't seen. He ran his hand over his face. Laura, I swear I didn't know. If I had known, you would have done what, Daniel? You ignored it when the psychologist said Bianca was doing parental alienation. Ignored it when your daughters started having nightmares and wetting the bed. What makes you think you would have done anything different with this? Because this is different. This is concrete proof. Your daughter's anguish wasn't proof enough? He had no answer for that. What are you going to do? I asked. I need to talk to Bianca. Need to understand why she did this. There's no explanation that justifies this, Daniel. She deliberately manipulated our daughters. She tried to destroy their relationship with me. And you want to sit down and have an understanding conversation with her. I live with her, Laura. I can't just. Your daughters or your girlfriend. Choose. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. And if you can't choose your own daughters, then you're a worse father than I thought. He stood there, holding those papers, looking like a man who just realized he made all the wrong decisions. The hearing is next week, I said. You can show up and support your daughters, or you can show up and defend your girlfriend. But you can't do both. I closed the door in his face. In the following days, I kept the girls home during Daniel's custody period. He called, asking to see them, and I agreed, but only in public places, without Bianca present. We met at a park on Saturday. Daniel arrived alone, carrying gifts for all 3. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in a week. Hi, princesses, he kneeled to hug the girls. Sophia hesitated before returning the hug. Manuela ran to him. Isabella, who barely saw him lately, stayed clinging to my leg. I'll be over there. I pointed to a nearby bench. You guys enjoy. While Daniel played with the girls at the playground, I saw a familiar figure walking toward us. Bianca. She was wearing leggings and a gym top, with her hair pulled into a high ponytail. She had a determined expression on her face. I stood up immediately and walked toward her, placing myself between her and my daughters. You need to leave, I said before she could speak. I just came to bring water for Daniel. We were at the gym together and... You need to leave now, or I'll call the police. You can't prohibit me from being in a public park. I can prohibit you from approaching my daughters. And there's a restraining order being processed that will do exactly that officially. So I suggest you leave voluntarily. Daniel had noticed the commotion and was coming toward us. Bianca? What are you doing here? I just came to bring water, love. But Laura is being absurd as always. I asked you not to come, Daniel said, his voice tired. You can't be serious. You're taking her side. I'm taking my daughter's side. And they don't want you around right now. Bianca's face turned red. Because she turned them against me. She's been doing it from the start. No, Bianca. You did it yourself when you sent those messages. I was just trying to help. Trying to make them understand I'm going to be part of their lives, that they need to accept me. By making them believe their mother doesn't love them? Daniel's voice was rising. How does that help anyone? People in the park started looking. Some mothers discreetly moved their children away. I never said she didn't love them, Bianca protested, but her voice was less convinced. I have prints of all the messages, Bianca. Don't lie. Tears started running down her face. You're choosing her over me. After everything we've been through together, you're choosing your ex-wife. I'm choosing my daughters. I always should have. If you send me away now, I'm not coming back. It's your last chance, Daniel. Me or them. Then I guess you already know my answer. Bianca stood there, looking genuinely shocked that he had chosen against her. Then her face twisted into something ugly. You're going to regret this, she spat. When you realize you threw away a young, beautiful woman who truly loved you because of a manipulative ex-wife and 3 annoying children, you'll beg for me to come back. But I won't be available. Great, Daniel said simply. Bianca shot me a look of pure hatred before turning and stomping away. I watched her go, feeling nothing but relief. Sorry, Daniel said quietly, looking at me. For everything. You were right from the beginning. I know. What do I do now? You rebuild your daughter's trust. It'll take time. A lot of time. He nodded, looking at where Sophia, Manuela, and Isabella were playing on the slide, oblivious to the drama that had just unfolded. Will they forgive me? Eventually. If you prove you deserve it. That night, after putting the girls to bed, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the couch. My phone vibrated with a message from an unknown number. You're going to pay for this. You destroyed my life. Took the man I love. Turned my stepdaughters against me. You're a horrible person and you'll get what you deserve. I screenshotted it and sent it to Dr. Roberto. He responded immediately, perfect. More evidence for the restraining order. I blocked the number and took a sip of wine. I thought it was over. I thought Bianca had finally understood she lost and would move on. I was wrong. In the following weeks, strange things started happening. Flat tires on my car. Packages I didn't order being delivered to my house. Silent calls in the middle of the night. I installed security cameras around the house. And that's how I caught Bianca. It was 2 in the morning on a Tuesday when my phone vibrated with an alert from the cameras. Someone was in my front yard. I grabbed my phone and opened the camera app. There she was, Bianca, wearing dark clothes, throwing something on my plants. I called the police immediately. There's someone invading my property, I told the operator. I have live footage. She's vandalizing my garden. The police arrived in less than 10 minutes. Bianca was trying to leave when the police cars turned the corner with lights on. I watched from the window as they arrested her. She was screaming it was all a misunderstanding, that she just wanted to talk to me, that I was exaggerating. One of the officers rang the doorbell. I went down and showed him the footage. How long has she been doing this? He asked. A few weeks. But this is the first time I managed to film her. Do you want to press charges? Absolutely. Bianca was taken into custody. At the police station, they discovered she had violated a temporary restraining order that had been issued 2 days before, something she apparently decided to ignore. Daniel called me the next morning, disturbed. Bianca's mother called me. She's in jail. I know. I called the police. Laura. She invaded my property in the middle of the night, Daniel. She was throwing salt on my plants. Salt. To kill everything. And that's just the latest of several things she's been doing. She's not well. Her mother said she's not eating, not sleeping. She's obsessed with the idea that you destroyed her life. I didn't destroy anything. She destroyed it herself when she decided to manipulate innocent children. I know. I feel responsible. I brought her into our lives. You did. And now you're dealing with the consequences. There was a long silence. The girls asked about her, he finally said. Asked where she is. What did you say? I said she's not living with me anymore. That she left. That's enough for now. The hearing for the permanent restraining order was scheduled for the following month. Meanwhile, Bianca remained detained for violating the temporary order and trespassing. I thought I could finally breathe. That I would finally have peace. But Bianca had one last trick up her sleeve. And that trick almost destroyed everything. 3 weeks after Bianca's arrest, I was starting to believe life would finally return to normal. The girls were sleeping better. Sophia stopped having nightmares. Manuela had gone 15 days without wetting the bed. Even Isabella, who was too young to fully understand what was happening, seemed calmer. Daniel was doing therapy and showing up regularly for visits with the girls. He had rented a new, smaller apartment and decorated a room especially for them. Without Bianca around, he was finally learning to be a real father again. That's when I received a call from the school. "Mrs. Laura? This is Principal Marcia. We need you to come here immediately." My heart raced. "Are the girls okay?" "They're physically fine, yes. But there was an incident." I arrived at the school in record time, still in my work uniform. The principal took me to her office, where Sophia was sitting in a chair, hugging her stuffed bear from her backpack. Her eyes were red from crying so much. "What happened?" I asked, kneeling beside her. "A man tried to take Sophia during recess," Principal Marcia explained, her voice grave. "He jumped the back fence and approached her saying you had sent him to pick her up, that it was an emergency." I felt my blood run cold. "What man?" Sophia screamed and ran to the supervisor before he could grab her. He ran away when he realized he'd been seen. We called the police immediately and reviewed security camera footage. She turned the computer monitor so I could see. The image was clear enough. A man about 30-something years old, cap, sunglasses, trying to convince Sophia to go with him. "Do you know this man?" the principal asked. "I've never seen him in my life." But then the man took off his glasses for a moment to clean them, and I saw his face clearly. And I noticed something familiar in the face shape and the eyes. "Wait, can you rewind the video?" I watched again, paying more attention. And then I understood. "That's Bianca's brother," I whispered. "I saw him once in a photo at Daniel's house." Principal Marcia went pale. "I'll send this to the police immediately." I hugged Sophia tightly. "You were very smart to scream and run, love. Very smart." "I remembered what you said," she sobbed against my shoulder. "That nobody except you or Daddy can pick me up. Not even if they say it's an emergency." "That's right, baby. You did everything right." I took Sophia and went to get Manuela and Isabella too. I wasn't going to leave them there another minute. The school agreed and promised to reinforce security. In the car, I called Daniel. Bianca's brother tried to kidnap Sophia. "What?" I told him everything. I could hear him breathing heavily on the other end of the line. "I'm going to kill him." "Kill her? How dare she?" Daniel breathed. "Sophia is fine. But this proves Bianca is coordinating things from inside jail. I'm calling my lawyer now. And I'm going to the police station to file a complaint against her brother too." When I got home, I locked all doors and windows. I checked the security cameras 3 times. I had the girls eat dinner and put them to bed early, but I stayed in their room, sitting in a chair, just watching them breathe. My phone vibrated with a message from a private number. "You should have left him with me. Now your daughters will pay for what you did." I screenshotted it and sent it to the police immediately. Then I blocked the number. But the messages kept coming. From different numbers. All variations of the same threat. "Your daughters aren't safe. You can't protect them forever. Eventually you'll slip up, and I'll be waiting." Each message was documented and sent to authorities. Dr. Roberto filed an emergency motion asking that Bianca be held without bail due to ongoing threats. 2 days later, police arrested Bianca's brother, Lucas Ferreira Silva. He had a criminal record that included petty theft and assault. During interrogation, he confessed that Bianca had promised to pay 10,000 reais if he scared Daniel's ex-wife by taking one of the children. She said it was just a scare. Lucas allegedly told police, according to what the detective told me later, that I should take the girl, take her to a safe place, take a photo and send it to the mother, just so she'd know it could happen at any time. Bianca said the woman needed to learn a lesson. "A lesson," I repeated, feeling nauseous. She wanted him to kidnap my daughter to teach me a lesson. With this confession, we managed to add several additional charges against Bianca, the detective explained. Conspiracy to kidnap, coercion of a minor, continued threats. She's not getting out anytime soon. But I didn't feel relieved. I felt exposed, vulnerable. Bianca might be behind bars, but she clearly still had enough reach to get to me. I hired private security. A man named Roberto, a former police officer, who stayed outside my house at night and discreetly followed me during the day when I was with the girls. It was expensive, but my peace of mind was priceless. The hearing for the permanent restraining order took place 3 weeks later. Bianca appeared in orange prison uniform, handcuffed, with an expression of pure hatred on her face. The judge, Dr. Enrique Almeida, was a man in his 60s, known for being strict but fair. He read all the documents we presented. The messages to Sophia, the threats to me, the coordinated kidnapping attempt with her brother, the property invasions. "Miss Bianca," he said, his voice echoing through the courtroom. "Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Bianca stood up, and to my surprise, tears started running down her face. "I just loved him," she said, her voice breaking. "I loved Daniel so much. And she took him from me. She turned him against me, lied about me, destroyed everything I built with him." "You sent psychologically abusive messages to a 7-year-old child," the judge said coldly. "Orchestrated a kidnapping attempt. Invaded private property multiple times. This isn't love, Miss Bianca. This is criminal obsession." "I just wanted him back," she screamed, her composure completely crumbling. "I was going to be the perfect wife. I was going to give him a son. We were going to have the perfect family without those annoying girls in the way. But she wouldn't let it. She poisoned him against me." Her lawyer tried to make her sit, but she continued. "Those children shouldn't even exist. If he wanted a real family, he should have waited to have children with me. But no, he had to have 3 girls with that manipulative cow, and now he's trapped in responsibilities that aren't even important." The silence that followed was absolute. Even Bianca's lawyer looked horrified. The judge banged his gavel. "I've heard enough. Permanent restraining order granted. Miss Bianca Ferreira Silva is prohibited from having any contact with Laura Mendez Carvalho and her 3 minor daughters for the rest of her life. This includes direct contact, indirect, through third parties, social media, or any other form of communication." He turned to the prosecutor. "I also recommend that criminal charges be prosecuted with maximum rigor. This woman represents a clear and present danger to innocent children." Bianca was being taken out, still screaming. "This isn't over. You won't win. Daniel is mine. Those children are a mistake that should be corrected." Security guards practically had to drag her out of the room. I sat down shaking. Daniel, who was sitting on the other side of the room as a witness, came to me. "I'm so sorry," he said, and there were tears in his eyes. "I brought this person near our daughters. How could I have been so blind?" "You were," I agreed. "But at least now you're seeing clearly." Bianca's criminal trial was scheduled for 2 months later. During that time, more disturbing details came to light. Police found a notebook in her apartment full of notes about me and the girls. My routine school schedules, places we frequented. She had photos of me taken from afar, some dating back more than a year. There was also a diary where she described in detail her fantasy of replacing Daniel's family. She wrote about how she was going to re-educate my daughters so they'd stop being spoiled and learn to respect her as true mother. She had plans to convince Daniel to move to another city, away from me, where she could start over with him and have the right children, meaning male children. The forensic psychologist who analyzed the writings confirmed Bianca had clear signs of narcissistic personality disorder with obsessive traits. She had built an elaborate fantasy where Daniel was the victim of a bad marriage, and she was the savior destined to give him the life he deserved. The girls were never part of that fantasy, except as obstacles to be removed or reshaped. At trial, the public prosecutor, Dr. Marcos Tavares, presented a devastating case. He showed the messages, security footage, the disturbing diary, the child psychologist's testimonies about the damage caused to the girls. "This woman," he said, pointing to Bianca, "didn't just commit crimes against a family. She executed a calculated campaign of psychological terrorism against innocent children. She tried to erase their mother from their lives. And when that didn't work, she literally tried to kidnap one of them." Bianca's defense lawyer tried to argue she was emotionally disturbed by the breakup, that she wasn't in her right mind. But the prosecutor counter-argued by showing the messages to Sophia started months before the breakup, proving premeditation. Daniel was called to testify. He entered the courtroom visibly nervous, avoiding looking at where Bianca was seated. "Mr. Daniel," the prosecutor began, "were you aware of the defendant's actions regarding your daughters?" "Not completely," Daniel admitted. "I knew there were tensions. My daughter's therapist had mentioned Bianca was making inappropriate comments, but I didn't know about the messages until my ex-wife showed me. And I definitely didn't know about kidnapping plans." "Why do you think you didn't see the signs earlier?" Daniel was silent for a moment. "Because I didn't want to see. I had convinced myself I'd made the right choice leaving my marriage. Admitting Bianca had problems would be admitting I'd made a terrible mistake, so I ignored the signs. And my daughters paid the price for it." "Do you still maintain any kind of relationship with the defendant?" "No. I broke up with her the moment I saw the messages." I've had no contact since and don't intend to ever again. When it was my turn to testify, I went up to the stand with my legs shaking. Bianca stared at me with hatred so intense it was almost palpable. Mrs. Laura, the prosecutor began gently. Can you tell us in your own words how the defendant's actions affected your daughters? I took a deep breath. My oldest daughter, Sophia, developed severe anxiety disorder. She had nightmares every night about me abandoning her. My middle daughter, Manuela, regressed in her development. She went back to wetting the bed at 5 years old. And Isabella, my youngest, developed attachment issues. She couldn't let me out of her sight without having panic attacks. And now, how are they? They're in therapy. They're improving. But they'll carry the scars of what this woman did for a long time. Sophia asks me every night before bed if I'll still be there when she wakes up. Every night. She's 9 years old and doesn't trust that her mother won't disappear. I saw tears in some jurors' eyes. The defense lawyer questioned me, trying to suggest I had been hostile toward Bianca from the beginning, that I had encouraged the girls to reject her. But I kept my calm. I never spoke badly of Bianca to my daughters. I responded firmly. Never. I didn't need to. Her actions spoke for themselves. The most impactful moment of the trial came when the prosecution asked to play a recording. It was a call Bianca had made from prison to a friend, where she didn't know she was being recorded. Her voice echoed through the courtroom. I didn't do anything wrong. Those girls needed to know the truth, that their mother is a loser who can't hold on to a man. And if I'd managed to grab one of them, I bet Laura would have finally given up and given Daniel back to me. It was a perfect plan. The problem is that brat screamed. She was talking about Sophia. About my 9-year-old daughter as if she were just an inconvenient obstacle. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all charges. Bianca was sentenced to 8 years in prison for conspiracy to kidnap, aggravated harassment, trespassing, violation of court order, and psychological abuse of minors. Additionally, she would have to pay compensation for moral damages, an amount she'd probably never be able to pay, but which served as official record of the damage she caused. When the judge read the sentence, Bianca stood up and screamed, "This is unfair. I'm the victim here. She stole my future." "No, Miss Bianca," the judge responded calmly. "You destroyed your own future the moment you decided to attack innocent children. And now you'll pay for it." She was taken out screaming and crying. I felt no pity. I felt relief. After the trial, outside the courthouse, Daniel approached me. "Thank you," he said, "for protecting our daughters when I failed to do so. You're doing better now," I admitted. "The girls notice. They're starting to trust you again." I'm in therapy, trying to understand how I let things get so far. How I fell in love with someone so sick. She was good at pretending to be what you wanted to see. That's no excuse. I should have protected you all. All of you. We stood in silence for a moment. "Where do we go from here?" he asked. "Forward. We raise our daughters. You rebuild their trust. And eventually, maybe in a few years, all this will just be a bad memory." 3 months later, on a sunny Saturday morning, I woke up with Sophia jumping on my bed. Mommy. Mommy. I didn't have nightmares. All night. It was the first time in almost 2 years. Manuela ran in behind her. Me neither. And I didn't wet the bed. Isabella, who is now 3, stumbled in with her favorite blanket. "Mommy here," she declared, as she did every morning since Bianca had left our lives. "Yes, love. Mommy's here. Mommy will always be here." Later that day, Daniel stopped by to pick up the girls. He had bought tickets to an aquarium they'd wanted to visit for months. "Are you sure you don't want to come?" he asked. "Not like, just as friends, co-parents." I thought about it. Months ago, the idea of voluntarily spending time with Daniel would have made me furious. But looking at him now with his 3 daughters clinging to his legs, genuinely smiling, I saw a different man from the one who had left me 2 years ago. "Maybe next time," I replied. "Today is your day." The girls said goodbye with kisses and hugs, and for the first time since the divorce, they left through the door excited to spend time with their father, without fear, without anxiety. After they left, I sat on the couch with a cup of tea and just breathed. Silence. Peace. Safety. My phone rang. It was Dr. Beatriz, the girls' therapist. "Laura, I just wanted to give you feedback on today's session. All 3 are making excellent progress. Sophia is processing the trauma well. Manuela has completely recovered her confidence. And Isabella no longer shows signs of separation anxiety. That's amazing. You did everything right. You protected your daughters, documented everything, acted quickly. Many mothers in this situation can't do that. After hanging up, I allowed myself to finally cry. Not from sadness or fear, but from pure relief. It was over. Really over. Bianca was in prison. My daughters were safe. Daniel was being the father he should have been from the start. And I had survived. That night, when the girls came back from the aquarium, they were radiant with happiness, telling me about the stingrays they touched and the penguins they saw. "Mommy, Daddy said next time you can come too," Sophia said excitedly. "He said that even though you're not married anymore, we're still a family." "He's right," I replied, hugging her. "You three will always connect us. Forever." After putting the girls to bed, I went to my computer. There was something I needed to do for a long time. I opened a blank document and started writing my story. Everything that had happened, from that first night at the corporate dinner to the trial. I wrote about the signs I missed, the ones I didn't miss, the decisions I made. I wrote about how documenting everything had been crucial. How trusting my instincts had saved my daughters. I wrote for other women who might be going through the same thing, so they'd know they weren't alone. That it was possible to protect their children. That it was worth fighting. When I finished, it was already dawn. I saved the document with the title, "How I Protected My Daughters from the Woman Who Tried to Replace Me." I thought about publishing it somewhere, maybe on a blog, to help other mothers. But that could wait. For now, I just wanted to sleep. Sleep without fear of threatening messages. Without worry about property invasions. Without terror that someone would try to take my daughters. For the first time in 2 years, I slept through the entire night without waking up once. The next morning, I woke up to the sun coming through the window and the sound of my 3 daughters laughing in their room. Genuine, carefree, happy laughter. I lay there for a moment, just listening, and smiled. Bianca had tried to destroy our family. Had tried to erase my existence in my daughters' lives. Had tried to steal everything from me. But she had failed. Because in the end, true love always wins. And no amount of manipulation, obsession, or madness could change one simple fact. I was their mother. Always would be. Nothing and no one could take that from me. And as for Bianca, she'd have 8 years behind bars to think about the choices she made. 8 years to understand you can't force someone to love you. That children aren't obstacles to be removed. That families can't be replaced like old clothes. I got up and went to the girls' room. They were playing with dolls, creating elaborate stories where the princesses saved themselves. "Good morning, my warriors," I said, entering. "Mommy." All 3 ran to hug me. And as I held them, all 3 at once, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The future was open, clear, full of possibilities. And we were going to be okay. Finally, we were all going to be okay. If this story touched you in any way, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming injustice. Your comments and support make all the difference for other people who may be going through similar situations. Until the next story.